products which are there. So ASA, again, I will be sharing you all these presentation with you guys. So don't worry about the presentation part. You don't have to take any screenshot or anything in case if you're taking it. Everything will be shared to you by the end of the day today on the email where you can download it. Okay. And I will also share certain Cisco Pressbooks for Firepower. Okay. Please acknowledge on chat so that I can come to know that yes, you guys can hear me and there is no problem. Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay, so ASA features which were there. You had HA feature on ASA. So right now we are talking about native features which were there on ASA, right? So you had HA, high availability features. If you have heard of ASA's active standby or active, and cluster, right? Clustering is something which is a new feature which was there on ASA with 9.x code. So all these features are there. All the high availability features are there on the ASA VPN. Yes, ASA been popular in the VPN front, site-to-site VPN or remote access VPN, SSL based or IPsec based. All of them were there in ASA. It was able to do protocol inspections. So not application level, not the actual DPI capability, but it had capability of doing protocol level of inspection. Only the HTTP protocol inspecting the header of the application layer rather than doing a content filtering. It was only more of at application level with the help of feature called as MPF. It had HTTP inspection engine, it had SMTP, FTP. So different protocol level of inspection engines were built in MPF, but nothing to do with content, more at the application level, it was able to do inspection. It can be placed in data center either in the transparent mode or either in the routed mode. So it was suited for data center also. Multi-context is nothing but if I want, I can break my ASA into multiple logical contexts, and then I can do segmentation of multiple firewalls for a cloud kind of a environment where I have multiple tenants. So I can go ahead and do that with ASA, or I had that capability. Identity-based policies can be used by ASA. So rather than using policies based on 5-tuple, source IP, destination IP, protocol, I can create policies based on users or groups. So ASA also had that capability. And management and configuration was either done through ASDM, which is on-box, or CLI, right? Centralized management was done with the help of Cisco Security Manager, CSM. Plus, it had capability of API also for doing some kind of automation. If you compare this with Firepower features, Firepower has high availability. When I'm talking about Firepower, I'm talking about all, it could be NG-IPS, it could be ASA with Firepower, or it could be FTD. Okay, I'm not talking about specific to FTD only. I'm talking about any product of Firepower. So there are 3 products of Firepower, right? NG-IPS, ASA with Firepower, or FTD. So Firepower service features is applicable to any of these 3 products. So HA, which means that it can put in active standby. It cannot be put in active. So you don't have any such active feature in FTD. So that is not possible. Only active standby option is there. You can also put your FTD in cluster if you wish to do that. Clustering supported. It is only supported, clustering is only supported on 4200 or 9300. These are the only two products which supports clustering. No other product supports clustering in Firepower. Okay, it has IPS inbuilt with snot, so snot based IPS is there. It has AMP feature and URL filtering, plus it has capability of routing and transparent mode. AVC, application visibility control. Have you heard of AVC feature on any other product, vendor product? What is AVC?
Yes, over the Fortinet I have seen.
Okay, so you have seen that how you can create policies based on different signatures of applications.
Application basis.
So rather than
Yeah.
creating policies based on ports or protocol, whether it is TCP, UDP, IP, I'm creating based on signatures that block team viewer. So there's a signature of team viewer which is there, or block let's say a proxy server like Tor, right? So I don't have to create rules on port numbers and all. Traffic will be analyzed to see, or learned is the right word. I'm going to, my firewall is going to learn the traffic and then going to match against that application signature by looking at different attributes. So inside an application signature, you have different attributes: certificate, host name, common hosted IP addresses for that particular application server. Like TeamViewer, there would be some pre-allocated IP addresses where the TeamViewer application server is there across the globe. So all these things are used inside this AVC to identify whether this is the right application or not. Okay, so we'll have a discussion of AVC on day 3 when we are looking at different policy at that time. But yeah, this is actually through layer 7, deep packet inspection, AVC. Network profiling, it has passively can do profiling of my network and give you information about the host, which is that host, what application is running on that host, what are the different ports, all those things. Identity-based policy can be integrated with ICE to learn about the identity via PX grid, or I can simply do active-based authentication, ask the user to log in inside a portal. All those things can be possible with Firepower. And finally, analytics and automations has capability of doing some kind of an automation. Let's say if I with FMC, definitely I want to block a particular host. So let's say a malware event has been detected by Firepower, or an IPS event has been detected by Firepower. I can tell my Firepower, my FMC, to send information to ICE, and then ICE can take an action on it. Either put the particular host on a remediation VLAN, or disconnect the host from the network. All those things can be done with few automation options which are there inside Firepower. Yes, someone has raised a question, hand for a question.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Okay, and then management, it can be managed through FMC, Firepower Management Center, or it can be managed through on-box FDM. So both options are there: off-box management and on-box management. Okay, but not both. You can't do both, either FMC or either FDM only. It cannot be that I'm doing first few configuration on FMC and few configuration on FDM, like how we had with ASA. I don't like ASDM, I switch to CLI. I don't like CLI, switch to ASDM. Can't be done like that. Either I choose off box or on box when I'm deciding on doing the management. Okay, so which all products are compatible with FTD? So this is how the FTD took place inside Cisco. So initially in 2013, Cisco had, when the acquisition happened, two products which were running firepower services, 7000 series, 8000 series. These two products came from SourceFire. So these are appliances, physical appliances, where
Mr. Arshad,
Yeah.
just a question.
Yep.
See, you told about the FMC as well as the FDM. Okay.
Yes, yes.
I just wanted to know, see, when I am controlling my FTD through the FMC, then there won't be any procedure for me to configure anything through the FTD, right? If I have merged my FTD with the FMC. So does the same thing happens when I deploy a FDM?
See, first, you cannot do configuration via CLI.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
Whether
on
it is
GUI mode
FDM,
only.
whether it, hold on, please. Whether it is FDM, whether it is FMC, it does not matter. CLI option of configuration is only not there.
No, no, not the CLI part. If I am doing the configuration on a GUI mode, see on the browser. Okay, so when FTD is deployed as a standalone system, so I can log into the FTD page and I can do the configuration part. Okay. The second I deploy FTD with the FMC, I won't be able to access the FTD page. I will have to do all the configuration through the FMC.
Correct.
Okay. And if I deploy FDM, then also this happens, or I get a separate access to a separate means portal to access the FTD and separate portal to access the FDM.
There are only two. So what you said was earlier that if I'm using FDM, I'm accessing the GUI, which is hosted locally on the device, right?
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
it
that
is
is
not a centralized management like
no,
FMC.
no. It is on box, right? That means what?
Okay.
That portal is going to be on the box and it can only manage that one single box. So if I have 5 FTD, then I would have 5 different portals, right?
Okay.
Because I have those on boxes management options which are there. With FMC, I'm just taking that control into a centralized way. From that centralized, I'm able to manage all the 5 boxes. From that centralized, I'm able to verify the logs, correlate the logs from all the 5 devices.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So SourceFire, 7000 series, 8000 series are the two products which came from SourceFire acquisition and part of SourceFire only. In 2013, VMware was the only option where I could have run NG-IPS. So this is where the first product, NG-IPS of Firepower, came into existence. Currently, NG-IPS is obsolete. Its end of life support is not provided by Cisco. But initially, when the acquisition happened, then I was getting that Firepower features in a product called as NG-IPS. Then Cisco integrated Firepower with ASA. So that's what it was, ASA with Firepower. So if I want, I have my existing ASAs and I want to deploy my Firepower in the existing ASAs as a software module, I can go ahead and do that. So that's what ASA with Firepower will allow me to do. Okay. And in 2015, I came with FTD. So Firepower Threat Defense, which is nothing but the unified operating system, which has both the features, ASA features as well as Firepower features. Cisco came up with, at that period, I could have installed ASA. I could have installed FTD on existing 5500X series firewalls, or Cisco came up with a new product, 9300. Okay. You can also install FTD on VMware or AWS, private, public, both. 2016, new product line 4100, and 2017 2100, and in 2019 1000. So you also have 1000 series now. Okay, it was launched in December of last year. Okay, so overall, I can install FTD on 5500X. I can install FTD on 2100, 4100, 9300. Or I could have installed in the new 1000 series. Okay. Any questions? Again, this one presentation which I'm using, the first one, has some slides which are related to ASA with firepower. So I'm simply going to skip those slides because I don't need those slides in this training, but I use the same slide deck for both ASA with firepower and FTD. So I'm simply going to skip those slides wherever it says ASA with firepower. All right. But again, when you will be getting the slide deck, you would have those slides available. So if you want, you can use those slides to learn about ASA with firepower. But I'm simply
Can you share these slides to us?
Yes, that's what I said. I will share it at the end of the day today. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
No problem. FTD. So FTD single OS, which has both the world of ASA and firepower, right? Managed through either on-box or managed through either FMC, anything. Product line. These are the different product lines where FTD can be installed. If you look at the 5500X, there is one product where you can't install FTD. So in this 5500X series firewalls, one of that product is there where you can't install FTD. Which is that product? $5585, right? You cannot install FTD on 5585. Okay, so that's one thing. So in case if you have 5585, then and you want to use FTD, then you would have only option which is available is ASA with firepower. You cannot run FTD on it because of the way the architecture is of a 5585. And then you have 2100s, 4100s, and 9300, which is there. So we will look at installing FTD on all three of them, which is how do I do installation of FTD on 5500, how do I do installation of FTD on 2100 and 4100. Okay. Again, this is just a slide which is talking about FTD features which are yet to be ported inside FTD. Like if you look at, most important thing is most of the features of ASA has been ported now, but few features, and one of the biggest thing is context. So yet the context part is not come inside FTD. Hopefully, I think so this year or next year there would be some kind of a capability in FTD which will give you context based segmentation, but at this stage it is not there. The only way to do, if in case you want context, then you have to use a feature called as multi-instance in FTD. Multi-instance is available in 9300 and 4100. Okay, because these two product is chassis based. So you can run different FTDs in different modules. So 9300 has 3 modules. So you can run 3 instances of FTD. Okay, so this can be act as a context where you are running FTD on 3 different modules in 9300. But context at the software level is not possible with FTD as yet.
And this clustering part, it is not available on any 5500 series lineup,
Yes,
right?
yes, it's only 9300 and 4100 cluster. But clustering is different than multi-instance, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. 5500X can be FTD. Maximum throughput 5500X would give you is 1 GB. We know that 5500X does not have 10 gigis or 40 gigi ports available. And that was one of the reasons why Cisco had to come up with 2100, 9300, 4100s, because of the limitation from a bandwidth perspective. That does not have that much of bandwidth for connecting to newer servers. So 2100 has You can use.
In the previous slide, I need to ask one more thing. See, on 5500 on previous slide, there is written wireless option for 5506. What is this option?
So if you look at 5500X, you have 5506 model, right, which is considered to be the first starting model. So for small and medium businesses, you can also use a product 5506W, where you have a WLC controller on the firewall.
Okay.
Okay, so that's nothing but that one single product 5506W, which act as a controller for wireless. So it's more for a small and medium business customers where you don't want to spend more on different products. All right.
Yes, sir.
2100 has 10 gig plus the architecture is hardware architecture is different. It has I-series processors, Intel based I-series processors compared to dual cores, which are there on ASA 5500X. Okay, so better performance is there in 2100. If it's a greenfield deployment, you're starting firepower or using Cisco, going to use Cisco next generation firewall, then recommendation is to use 5100, 4100 or 9300. But if you have an existing 5500X series firewalls, then you can deploy FTD on your existing 5500X also. But if it's new, then you should go for 2100, 4100 or 9300 because it gets better hardware performance. It's similar to your ASA. If you look at it, there's no difference. It's just that this is going to be with better hardware capability. Yeah, this is the backplane of 2100, which is there, where you can have your copper ports and your fiber SFPs, which are over here. 4100 and 9300 both has similar architecture. Okay, 4100 and 9300 is built for data center or high campuses because the architecture is little different in them. And we'll talk about the architecture, how it is in 4100 and 9300 in next couple of slides. Capable with 40 gig ports, can, and this is 9300. If you look at it, both of them, this one is more chassis. It looks like a more chassis. This one does not look like a chassis. It's simply like a one RU unit, which is there. But both of them has capability of running multiple instance of FTD, which is called as multi-instance. Multi-instance means that I can run multiple FTD firewalls. Currently, 4100 has one module. At this stage, Cisco has not unlocked another module inside 4100. It's only one module which is there. So you can only run one FTD on 4100. But in near future, architecture-wise, it is ready. But so far, it's only one module which is there. In near future, they might unlock the other modules. But in 9300, it can run 3 modules. Okay, so which means that you can run one FTD, second FTD, third FTD. Okay, these are your security modules which are there, 3 of them.
I have a question for the previous slide.
Yes. 1 minute. Yes.
See here, it is having this module, this model 4100 series. It is having 10 GB and 40 GB interfaces, right? So, and the throughput it is showing is only 24 Gbps. So that means if 10 Gbps interfaces are there, means 8 10 Gbps and 4 40 Gbps, it will be around 120 more than 120 Gbps. So what should I means understand with this? Means it won't be able to process that 120 Gbps of data at once.
So the reason is saying 24 Gbps throughput up to 24 Gbps is looking from 10 gig perspective. So 8 interfaces are there, right?
Okay, so that will be combined to 80 Gbps. Okay, and again 440 Gbps, then it will be 160. It will be around 240 Gbps. See, if I will use only 8 interfaces from copper and 4 interface from SFP.
So these are external. So by default, it will only be this copper ports which will be there. These modules needs to be inserted. These are your network modules which are there. Okay, so they will not come with factory.
No, if I install these modules, see, I suppose I have by default I am getting copper modules, and I have bought a riser card with that. I am getting 4 SFP modules.
Correct.
Okay.
This
So,
port, let's say, is of 10 Gbps.
Okay. So even then, it is giving very less throughput, right?
10 Gbps would be 40 Gbps over here. This is throughput up to 24. So I think so. We need to check the data sheet. This is just a slide. The actual numbers would be there in the data sheet. Let me open up the data sheet. Just give me 1 minute. But yeah, it could be that the representation is wrong, but let's look at the data sheet, because that's where the right numbers will be.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you're talking about 2100, right?
No, 4100 it is.
4100. Sorry. Yeah. So this is, see, when you're looking from a throughput perspective, right? How they calculate throughput is going to be based on features, not on bandwidth, because they are not considering this as a network device. They are considering this as a security device.
Okay.
Right? So they always going to consider from feature.
Okay, you mean to say means it will means after processing everything, means IAM, IPS, AV,
Yeah,
everything after processing, it will be able to provide 24 Gbps.
correct.
Overall.
Yeah. Right. So this throughput values are nothing from a network perspective. It's more from a security feature perspective, which would be there.
Okay.
So always refer to datasheet, because that gives you can see it will give you up to, so this 4150 was, I guess, talking about 24 from AVC plus IPS perspective. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you. All right. So that's about 4100. 9300, as I was saying, that it has 3 chassis, 3 modules. You can run FTD in all 3 of them. Now, in the latest update, it is, if you want, you can also run 2100 or 4100, 9300 with ASA. Okay, so all 3 of them are not only FTD supported, but also ASA supported. So you can install ASA also if you wish to use. Okay, so from a hardware architecture perspective, 4100, 9300, this is the architecture. You have your, so this is giving an example of this is giving an example of 9300, where I have 3 modules. Okay, so 9300 has 3 security modules. 4100 has currently only 1 at this stage. So you can only run 1 FTD, but in near future they might unlock it. But at this stage it's only 1 which is there. So 9300 has 3 security modules where I can run FTD or ASA. Okay, both options are available now. I can also say that on one security module I want to run FTD, on another security module I want to run ASA, and a third one I want to run FTD. Or I can say that one is FTD, 2 are ASA. I can do that. Or all RASA, I can do that. So multiple options are there. A security module is like its own blade. Think of it like that, where it has its own CPU, it has its own RAM, it has its own disk. Okay. It's just that from a backplane perspective, this particular security module will be connected to a fabric. Okay, a fabric is like a backplane interconnect where I'm getting access to the NICs. This fabric interconnect which is there is also referred as supervisor, and this supervisor is called as FXOS. Okay, FXOS is something which is like a kind of a supervisor which is managing the whole chassis, which means that it is going to monitor the CPU, the main CPU, general CPU. So supervisor will also have its own CPU. Supervisor would be taking the packet from the NIC, physical NIC, and then based on how this physical NIC is mapped to the security module, the packet will go to that security module. So which means that you would have to do the mapping in FXOS in the supervisor, that this security module is going to get how many NICs. So for example, if I need 3 connections to the security module, I need one inside, I need one outside, I need one DMZ because I have some DMZ servers. Then I need to map 3 NICs to this particular security module. So we will look at later on how that is done through FXOS, but FXOS is just a supervisor. It's going to just manage the whole chassis. FXOS is not where you will configure most of the policies. Your firepower policies, your security policies will be done through FMC or FDM, depending on how do you do it.
So this supervisor module, this portal, it will come through the same portal, or for this we need to access through some other portal?
It's a different, it's a FCM, Firepower Chassis Manager.
Okay, like Nexus switches, right?
Similar to not all Nexus, only chassis based like Nexus 7 or
Nexus 7
9Ks, 9300. Right, which are more chassis based. Yes, where you have a central brain who is managing the whole chassis. It's similar to that. Yes.
So means after configuring the supervisor module, suppose say I have requirement of these 3, I will first go to supervisor module, I will assign the ports, and then I will go to the FMC or the FTD module or the FDM module of this 9300 series, and then I will configure the policies.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. So first you will do a mapping that how does this security module, so we will see the installation part at that time. You will assign the interfaces to the security modules. You will install the operating system, also upgrade. Everything will be done through FXOS, which is a supervisor. Okay, your whole chassis administration will be done through FXOS. So think of another example of FXOS would be like if you have worked with DRAC of Dell, or if you have worked with ILO of HP, it's similar to that, where you are going ahead and carving out or managing the chassis, managing that module, but the actual OS is going to be managed separately. So the actual policies will be managed through FMC or FDM, however you do it. But the operating system, the interfaces will be done through FXOS.
And once I assign some interface to a particular supervisor module, then I won't be able to assign that port to another one, right? Until I delete the supervisor, or
So,
I have the
physical. Are you talking about the physical NICs, or are you talking about the virtual NICs which you are assigning to security module?
Physical NICs means for DMZ.
Yeah.
This is a chassis based. Then I can create virtual NICs also, right?
Yeah.
So anyone means either.
Let's say, let me give an example. Let's say that I have 9300, And let me show you the better view of 9300 from here, right? So I have 9300, and let's say this 9300, I have used this ports where I have network module. Let's say I have 4 of them. I am not using this one.
Okay.
So how many ports are there? 4 NICs are there.
4 ports. Let's assign one to outside, inside, DMZ.
No, it's not like that. It's not like that. It depends again. It depends on, let's say if I have these 4 NICs which are there are over here. Let's say I have 4 NICs which I have mapped it on my physical ports. Now I have 3 modules. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and logically assign these. So these adapters which are going to be there on the security modules are going to be logical ones, are not going to be those 4 physical NICs which are there.
Okay.
I'm going to logically assign them. So at the end, the traffic will always leave from here, but there would be some mapping which will be done saying that, okay, this adapter 1 will be mapped to NIC 1. Okay, adapter 2 will be mapped to NIC 2, like that. So I'll be doing some mappings inside the FXOS, which will map those physical NICs and the virtual NICs which are there.
Okay.
Physical NICs will not be assigned. Okay, so if you want that I have multiple security modules, I can also create an ether channel.
Okay.
Okay, which will load balance traffic from multiple security modules to all the 4 NICs.
Okay.
Okay, so I can go ahead and do that also, or I can physically map one port to one port like that. So it would be one-to-one mapping. Okay, or it could be ether channel base. Anything can be done.
And in future, suppose I think that I don't require so many ports in this particular module. So will I be able to remove the adapter or the port from that?
Yeah, you can.
Without deleting the supervisor module?
No, supervisor is a FXO. See, supervisor module is FXOS, right? It's a
No. Means the supervisor part means like in Nexus means when you create and assign some ports to it, and then you will have to delete it, right? Something configuration.
So yeah,
So
if a NIC, if let's say if you have done one-to-one, right? If it's ether channel, you don't have to do anything. But if it's one-to-one, one-to-one means that you have mapped this adapter with one NIC.
100 port, yes.
Yeah. Then in that case, you would have to remove that NIC from that particular security module. And once it is available, then you have to map it to another security module.
Okay.
Okay. But if it's an ether channel, you don't have to do anything. You simply have to remove that adapter only, and it will, the underlying ether channel would continue to use for other security modules.
Okay. Okay.
So it's either one-to-one or either ether channel based configuration, which you can set it up. Okay, any questions? Any further questions anyone has? So which FTD is you guys using or planning to use, in case if you're not using it as yet?
We have deployed a 5506 and 5508 in our environment, and we are controlling it with the FMC.
Okay. So you don't have any 4100 or 9300 as yet?
No.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Okay. So 4100, 9300, as I said, both are similar architecture. Both has the same architecture. Just the difference is 4100 has only one security module as yet. No other security modules. 9300 has 3 of them, which are there. Okay. So this was a quick overview on the firepower perspective, features, plus what are the different models which are there. We will look at the installation part. How do I do an installation of FTD on 5500X, 4100, 9300X, 4100, 9300, sorry. And then also in the cloud side, how do I do installation on the cloud side? Okay. So again, what we have done is, from a time limitation perspective, we have already installed all our FTDs on our 5500X. So in our lab, we are going to use 5500X series for doing demonstration. So we have already installed FTD on them. Okay, so to just make sure that there is, it does not take take more time in order to do that. So we are going to look at from a presentation perspective how the installation is done. All right, we will not be actually doing any installation on any of the 5500X because that's already done. So before we start with the installation and bootstrapping, let's take a quick break of 15 minutes. And after break, we can continue with further topics. Okay. Yes, any questions or any suggestions? I hope you guys want a break.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. See you in 15 minutes. Okay, thanks, Chandan.
So
Please pause your recordings. Yeah, sorry.
yes, yes. For now, we can close the Zoom link.
No, don't
and
close it. Just keep it on, but just pause your recording in case if you're doing any recording so that it does not create dead air.
Okay.
But don't close, don't log out of Zoom.
Okay.
Okay, see you in 15 minutes.
Actually, I tried to record but asking for a permission.
Okay, let me enable it. Who is this?
Chandan.
Chandan. Okay. Yes, I've given the permission.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone is available. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sarvesh, Tanmay, Vikant.
See, I will continue because at least 3 to 4 people have given me confirmation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Vijay. So, all right. So before break, we looked at the overview of FTD. We looked at in case if you want to deploy FTD, you have options 5500X series, firewall 2100, 4100, 9300, where you can install it. Now, what we are going to look at is how do I do the installation on 5500X? Then we will look at 4100 and 9300. So from a 5500X series firewall perspective, these are the steps which are there. One important thing is when you're going to deploy FTD, all your configuration which was done on ASA will be gone. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have done a backup of all your configuration. For you have done backup from your flash, if in case you had some any connect images or any other files which you have kept in flash. ASA operating system, that could be ASDM images, all those things needs to be backed up because once you deploy FTD, it will wipe out the flash completely during the installation process because it needs to re-image the flash with a different extension, different file type because the underlying operating system on FTD is Linux. So it needs to accordingly adjust the flash. So please make sure that the step 0 part, which is the prerequisite part, is where you have completed all your configuration backups and everything. Now, in order for you to deploy FTD, you would require majorly 2 files, but the third one is only required let's say that you don't have the correct version of ROM-on. So you require a boot image, you require the actual FTD software package file. So these are the two important ones which are there. But the third one, which is the ROM-on software, is only required if the version of your ROM-on is not correct. Okay, if it is something different, then the pre-required one, then you would need the third software. But most of the time, it would be done in the newer versions, only in the low-end series, which is 5506 kind of models. You might have to think about looking at the ROM-on. But in the high-end or mid-series firewalls, you don't have to worry about the ROM-on because the latest one would be there. Okay. So let's look at the prerequisite, what all prerequisite needs to be checked. The first is you need to make sure that you look at the how much space is there in your flash. It needs to have minimum of 3 GB space. So please clear out, in case if you don't have that much of space, clear out the required things, back up your configuration, back up your any connect files and all those things. Okay. You can look at show flash and verify how much free space is there. You can look at show inventory to verify if your SSD is there. You need to have SSD in order to install FTD. Then you need to do a physical connection. Now, in order to install the boot image and the package file, so there are two different files, which is called a system software or package file because it's in .pkg format. You would need to have your connections like that. You need a console connection. Okay, so you can execute the commands, and you need to have a management interface connection so that you can download the required images on the ASA. So you need to have both these connections set up with a computer, with a PC, which has a console port as well as the management interface access. Once this is done, you would require to set up the right servers. The boot image is going to be downloaded through TFTP. So boot image, you don't need any kind of special server. You can use your typical TFTP software in order to do that. So that's fine. But the system software, the .pkg, is going to be done through either an HTTP server, HTTPS server, or FTP server. It cannot be TFTP. It cannot be Flash. It has to be HTTP, HTTPS, or FTP. So you need to have those servers set up on the management PC, which you are going to use it as a management station for downloading the software. Okay. Again, you don't have to remember all these steps. You have a very well documented installation guide available on the Cisco's website. You can follow through that guide and do the installation of FTD on any version, either 5500X or 2100 or 4100 or 9300.
I want to know one more thing.
Yes,
yesterday only I find out this SFR module or the FTD module on 5506 module, is it a separate hardware kind of thing? Mean for
okay.
the ASA part and the FTD part, there is a different hardware.
So see, first, SFR is a different thing. It is not FTD.
Yes.
Okay. SFR is going to be a ASA, and on top of ASA, you still have ASA, and on top of ASA, you have your firepower module running in software.
Okay.
Okay. But FTD is going to be like you don't have ASA, you have FTD OS installed on it.
So it will be on the same hardware.
It will be on the same hardware. Yes, it will be on 5500X series, and it would be running the new operating system, which is FTD, not ASA. Whereas in SFR, you are going to run ASA, and on top of ASA, you are going to run SFR, which is firepower in the software.
Actually, yesterday what I did, I tried to get the serial number of my modules, okay, for my firewall. So earlier when it was in ASA, it was showing JMX kind of thing. And then I migrated this device to FTD, and then when I issued the command show inventory, at that time it was showing when I issued the command some different command, it was showing FD, then starting with FD, in place of JMX. That's why I was asking.
Okay, so let me show you the difference. Just give me 1 minute. You can see the screen now, right? Means you can see this console which I've opened right now. Yeah, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is our lab topology. Now in this lab topology, we have one FTD. So this box is running 5500X. And on top of that 5516, to be more specific, it's a 5516. And on that 5516, I'm running FTD.
Okay.
Okay. Whereas this is your normal ASA, where I'm running firepower in software. All right. So I'm just going to show you the difference. So it is like this. If you look at the prompts, you'll come to know that this one, FTD, when I exit, right, you can see I have this prompt. If I reboot also, I would get the single FTD OS, which is there.
Yes.
Right, so this is FTD. Whereas with this one, I have ASA, right, running, and on top of ASA, I'm running it in software. So I would be running show module, and it will show me that there is some firepower module which is running.
Okay. See, your ASA module is having JMX.
JMX, correct. This is the hardware serial number.
Yes.
So
And
show,
on
sorry, show
inventory.
Inventory, yes. This one is a new serial number, which would be based on the FTD OS.
Yes, yes. So there is different module for this. Means the ASA module and the FTD part.
Serial number will be different, right? Serial number will be when you install FTD, the different serial number will come.
Okay. So
But there is
yesterday
no
that's
module. There is no
I
module.
was confused.
Yeah. There is no module. It is just that you are running it in natively FTD.
Okay.
If you look at show version, it will show you. Yeah, it shows you even when you show inventory. You can see this is showing you FTD, right? Thread defense.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So which one do you guys have, FTD or ASA with firepower? Because
We have some FTDs. We have everything.
okay, because sometimes someone can get confused because both are actually called as firepower. So even if they have FTD, they still refer it as SFR, but that is not the case. Because the SFR is nothing but you're running ASA, then you are running firepower in software. Whereas with FTD, you're running a single OS, FTD operating system. Okay. For the low end CDs, which are 5506, 5508, or 5516, you might have to check whether I have the right version of ROM-on. The minimum ROM-on which is required in order to run FTD is 1.1.8. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have the right version of ROM-on. If you have anything which is less than 1.1.8, then you might have to upgrade the ROM-on first and then install FTD. Okay, or else FTD will not get installed because the prerequisite is to run that specific ROM-on 1.1.8. So in case if let's say that is the case and you have to install ROM-on, then you download the ROM-on from the Cisco's website. So again, let me show you from where you can download it on Cisco's website. So you go to the website software.cisco.com. Software downloads, and over here you will look for your ASA, specific whatever model it is. You go inside ASA and then you will say ASA 5500X series firewall, and depending on the model, let's say 55, 15, and you will select software on chassis, sorry. This one does not have the, I think so by default 55, I have to go for some low end. There, let me take 5505. No, this one also showing the will show me ROM on. Oh, sorry. Payload. But yeah, it depending on the model, it will show me the ROM on. The file name of the ROM on would be in a .SPA. So depending on the firmware, it's a signature file. So it would be in a .SPA format. So that is what you would have to download it, depending on the.
On 5506 page, we can download that.
Yeah, it's not showing now because I guess 5506. Let me see. It could be. Yeah, this one, ASA ROM software. So it would be a .SPA format. Yeah. Oh, I have to select with firepower, not just I have to select NGFW, not the mistake I was making was I was going into the normal ASA. It has to be NGFW, and then yeah. So depending on the model, I would be selecting this ASA ROM software. Okay, once you download this, you will execute the command copy. You will put it into your flash, and then once it is there in your flash, you can run the command upgrade from on. Okay, and then it will go ahead and upgrade the ROM version. Once the ROM is or during the ROM upgrade, your device might reboot multiple times. So please take a proper downtime in order to do that, because this would require a complete reboot of the device. So please make sure that you have the downtime set with your client. Okay, so once the ROM is upgraded, you need to download the required boot image and the system image. Now, this is also a little confusing sometimes for some new administrators, that the boot image, it depends on the model number. That whatever is the model number, the extension of that boot image might be different. Like for example, for a 5515, the extension would be, for a boot image, it will be .cdisk. Whereas for the 5516 or 6 or 5508, it would be .lfbff format. So depending on the model, the version of the extension would be different. Okay, and again, all these files, you would be getting it from the Cisco's website only. So you will go back. Let's say 5515. FTD. Sorry, the first one, FTD. We'll click on that. And then let's say you want to install 6.3. You'll select the version, and then from here you will see your boot image. Okay, it's a .c disk, and you will see your package file. It is .pkg. So both needs to be downloaded. Same thing if you go for 5516, which is a low end. And if I go to FTD, same 6.3. This one is .lfbff format. Okay, so this format might be different. So you need to select the right format depending on the version which you are using. Okay, any questions on this?
So question from my side, where we can identify the recommended version for current FTD device. Suppose we have a 5508 X series firewall, and we are using 6.2 or 6.1 version. Then how we can verify it, which is the recommended version from Cisco, and how we can upgrade from existing iOS version to upgraded one.
Okay, see, so the current latest version is 6.5, which is available. Recommendation is to have anything greater than 6.3. Okay, because a lot of features have been introduced in this two range, 6.1 and 6.2. Like earlier, remote access VPN was not available in 6.1. It has been introduced in 6.2. Plus certain enhancement like your objects, creating objects for URL was not introduced in 6.2. It is introduced in 6.3. So anything greater than 6.3 is considered to be recommendation from Cisco, which is there. But in case if you want, you can also check this suggested releases. It will always show you the one which is with the star. That one is the recommendation. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you can't do it 6.4, you can still, if you have 6.3, that is also considered to be recommended one. But yes, for the upgrade, in case if you're on 6.1 or 5.3, 5.4, if you want to see the upgrade path, we will be looking at those upgrade, how the upgrade is done on the last day, as I said. So at that time, I will talk about more on the upgrade front, how to do an upgrade. Correct? But right now what we are doing is we are looking at clean installation. Clean installation means that I am installing FTD for the first time, or I already have an FTD, but I don't have any upgrade path, right? Let's say I have 5.3, but I want to upgrade to 6.4. I don't have a direct upgrade path. So what I have to do in this case is I have to do a clean installation. That is what we are looking at, how to do that clean installation. But the upgrade is going to be a little different, which we will see on the last day. Okay, did that answer your question, Khan?
Yes.
All right, so once you have all the required files, which is your boot image is there with you, your package file is there with you, the next thing you will be doing is you will restart your ASA. Okay, so in order for you to go ahead and begin a clean installation, you have to restart your ASA and you have to go inside the ROM-on mode. So you have to break the sequence of the boot by pressing escape, and it will place you in the ROM-on mode. Once you're inside ROM-on mode, you will execute these commands where you will assign an IP address, netmask, gateway. This IP address is going to be somehow reachable or should be in the same subnet as your PC where you have your required software, because it needs to install the boot image, not install, load the boot image and install the package file. So you need to have the connectivity. So make sure that the IP address which you are assigning is of the same as your management PC, where you have the required boot images and the package file. Server over here is the TFTP server IP address, which is again your management PC, which is listening to the TFTP services. And then file is going to be the command which is going to be used for providing the path or the file name which your ASA is going to load the boot image from. And then sync is going to save that configuration, so that in case if you want to use the same configuration later, you can get it even if your device reloads. And then you will be using our popular command tftp daemon, tftp DNLD, in order to go ahead and begin the downloading of the boot image. So what you are going to do with when you execute this command is that it is going to load the boot image. It's going to download the boot image. Okay, it's not going to begin the installation of FTD. Let me also say that once so far, if let's say you have come so far in your installation and then you decide that yes, I don't want FTD, I want to still move or use my ASA only, or my previous version what was loaded, I can simply reboot my device and it will load that. So far installation has not begun. Installation will only begin once you confirm to do installation in the couple of later steps. But so far there is no installation done. You can reboot your device and it will load your normal ASA if you want. Once the boot image is loaded, the next thing you will do is you will go ahead and run the setup command in order to go ahead and set up your configuration for your or preparation for downloading the package file. Okay, so you run the setup command, you assign the IP addresses, you assign the gateway, you assign DNS, all these information. Whatever information you're assigning over here, again, it's not going to be for your FTD. It is only for installing FTD. Again, once the FTD is installed, whatever configuration you have done will be removed. So it is only during the installation you are assigning all these IP addresses and all. Clear? Once you have done that, once you have specified the DNS NTP by setup command, the next thing you are going to do is you are going to issue the command system install and give the path of either HTTP, HTTPS or FTP server, and you will load the package file. Okay, once the package file is loaded, it will give you a confirmation like this. This is kind of a confirmation which is saying that after this you cannot revert back to ASA. Once you say yes, it begins installation, it erases the disk and it will start doing the installation of your FTD. Am I clear? Any questions on this?
So how much time it will take to complete the setup?
For doing the installation, it depends on the hardware, but I would say on 5500X, I have seen that it takes at least 45 to 30 minutes for doing the installation.
Okay. Is there any chance to without upgrade this firewall will not be coming back? Means installed package will be corrupted or something else?
Yeah, there is chances.
That can be a chance.
Yeah, there could be chances that for some reason, let's say while doing the installation, the connectivity is lost to the HTTP, HTTPS server, or the package which you have installed is corrupted. Then it could be that you will be not able to complete the installation of FTD and you will be put in ROM-on mode. Why? Because you don't have ASA available, plus you don't have FTD. So in those chances, it's best to always back up your ASA image so that in case if something happens, you can still load your ASA and start working with ASA till the time you figure it out what exactly went wrong.
So how we can take the complete backup of this ASA firewall?
You take from flash, you copy all your required images, because ASA booting always loads from the flash, right? When you're booting your ASA, you first load,
Yeah.
you start your ASA, power on, self-test happens, post happens. Post that, whatever is the image inside the flash, that is going to be loaded in the RAM, right? So same thing is going to happen. So what you
Right.
do is you back up all your images so that in case if something gets corrupted and your flash gets erased, you still have your image, which you simply have to load from the ROM on mode. Like how will you do a recovery of an iOS from ROM on mode? Same way you would have to recover your firewall from the ROM on mode.
Okay. This particular practice is included in this session or not?
Installation?
No. The backup from flash drive.
No, that is not. Because see, backup is like, how do you backup is you just use a copy command, right, on the ASA.
Yes, we are using the copy command. But when we are trying to upgrade the existing version to
Again,
upgraded
I'm
one,
saying
that time,
this is not an upgrade. We are doing a clean installation. Upgrade is done differently.
yes,
Okay, so upgrade we will
yeah,
do on the last day. We are talking about clean installation, where
okay,
you are removing or
okay,
cleaning your flash and doing the installation. Okay, so there's a two different scenario.
right,
So upgrade, yes, we will
right,
see
right.
how the upgrade is done. And when you're doing the upgrade, at that time, in case if something goes bad, it will still revert back to the
Yeah,
old image, whatever is there automatically. Okay, but when you're doing a clean installation, that will not happen. So that's the difference between an upgrade and clean installation. Where upgrade
yes,
will take care of all the prerequisites before it actually does the uh, uh, process of upgrading the OS. So that in case if something gets bad, I will not be in a state where I will not have any firewall. Plus your configuration will still be there. It's not clean. But with clean installation, it is like erasing OS and putting a new OS. All right. So upgrade we will see on the last day. Yes. Any other question? All right. So once that is done, once the package is installed, again your firewall will reboot couple of times. So for a clean installation, you require a downtime so that you can do a proper installation of your FTD, and then once the FTD is installed, you can bring that FTD back online. All right, so the FTD, once the FTD is installed, let's say I have completed successfully my FTD installation, then let's look at how I have to do the initial setup. All right, so what is the command in order for me to do initial setup? That's what we are going to look at. So let me go back to the lab. So I'm currently going to show you the lab of how to do the initial setup post installation. So assuming I have done the installation of my FTD, how do I do the initial setup? That's what we are going to look at, the bootstrapping process. So this is our lab topology. Let me explain to you the lab topology first, and then I will go ahead and look at the bootstrapping lab. Okay. In this lab topology, you will see that this is one site. This whole thing is one site. Let's say we call this as HQ. And then this is another site. Let's call it as branch. Okay. And on my edge of my HQ, I have an FTD, which is running 55, 15, or 55, 16, anything, -X. Right, so this is the model which is there, either 5515 or either 5516, and I have installed FTD. So already FTD is installed on it. On the other branch, I have my normal ASA. So this is my normal ASA, not FTD or anything. This FTD has internet access, or this ASA has internet access, because I have an internet gateway which is here. So both are connected to public internet. From an HQ, I have this FTD it's a 3-leg FTD. 3-leg means I have one inside, I have one DMZ, and I have one outside. Okay, so typical 3-leg interface is there on this FTD. From a management perspective of this FTD, I have my FMC virtual, which is set up. All the blue connections which are seen are part of VLAN 2, which is my management VLAN. So I have management access to FTD. I have management access to this CSR router, this virtual FTDs which are here, all these things. So blue line is going to be my management network. In this HQ, I also have some partner server in virtual environment, and this partner server requires certain security policies. Hence, I have deployed my FTD. So these are virtual FTDs which are here. So I have two virtual FTDs because I'm going to set up high availability. So this is going to be my active. This is going to be my standby. Okay. High availability, I will not set up on day 1, day 2, day 3. It will only be on day 4 onwards. So I'm going to not worry about one of the virtual FTD at this moment. I'm only going to worry about one FTD in the virtual world, which is going to be my FTD V1. All right. The FTD V1 has a management IP address of .50. FTD V2 has a management IP address of .51. And physical FTD is going to have a management IP address of .52. So I have my 3 FTDs, .50, .51, .52. 50 and 51 are my virtual, and 52 is my physical. Okay. Clear? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the initial setup on these .50 FTD, virtual FTD. That after I've done the installation, what would be the screen I would be getting in order to do the basic initialization. Am I clear with this? Okay, thanks.